we're ready to go.
I'll call this Smyth County Board of Supervisors meeting to order, and we'll begin tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Flag Williams, and then remain standing for an invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the honor and ability to be involved in working for the good of our county and its citizens. Please grant wisdom and a steadfast courage to our leaders. Fill us with your grace and let us never forget that all we do should honor and glorify you, Lord. Place a hedge of protection around our county and its citizens and a desire on all of our hearts to live according to your will. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I don't believe we have any additions or amendments to the agenda. If not, I'm going to move on to the presentations. We're going to start out with the Smyth Grove housing project. Jimmy Moss is here from Mount Rogers to explain and tell us how good it's going.
Well, let's hope you agree. I think it's going well.
Well, we don't want to hear it if it's not.
Well, I want to tell you either way. So, nonetheless, I do appreciate you giving me a few minutes of time today to talk to you and give you an update on how we're progressing with your Grow Smyth County campaign. As you know, we've obligated the funds all but $300 and about a little over $41,000. But what you probably didn't realize is that we augmented those funds too, because we utilized some other grant funding to supplement those funds, so we're able to do more as it goes. And we'll get to some of those things as we go down the list. But so far you have 6 different agreements, and under those agreements there's a total of 37 houses that will be built under those agreements. So far you have one house that is totally complete, and if my understanding is correct, there's an offer on that house. You have another one that there's an offer on here that another contractor had done, the Tottens had done. There's one on it. It's not yet complete. And then you've got 11 more that's under the same issue as Mr. Totten. They're waiting on electrical AEP to make their connections so they can be completed. But we were talking about augmented money, so we used the Mount Rogers PDC Acquire, Renovate, and Sell program to add another $214,000 into the construction of these homes, and that was a thing that came about kindly by necessity. I had a program that I had committed to do a number of houses, and they had adjusted the program statewide just to fit my needs, and we weren't able to do what the actual projects I was planning to do, because by the time the state changed the program to meet the needs and opened it up, there was a limited time. So we had one lot that we were putting a modular home on, and we run into some set issues, and it's basically because we were going to have to take down a power line for a period of time and leave it, and it was just not logistically a sound idea to do. By the time we had the power down and we paid the different expenses, it would get the house way out of the market range we wanted to be in. So we already spent money on that lot, clearing it up. So we developed another lot with the house that was purchased, and we put another one on here, but there's ARS funding in 4 different houses. So we stretched those funds by another $214,000, and then we wanted to be sure that this program was reaching all areas of Smyth County in a meaningful way. So in Chilhowie, you're having townhouses that'll be going up right in the middle of town, which is exciting to me anyway. And then, yeah.
Do you know where those are going?
Is that what the Williams guys have, and Clegg probably knows,
Probably
knows it better than me?
It's 2 lots down from the clinic.
It's close to the clinic.
Okay, on Charlie Street there.
Yeah, on Charlie Street, almost right behind, catty corner behind Charlie Baptist Church.
Is the Williams fellow putting those up?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
And he's one of the ones who has finished one of the houses already. He can do 4 units at a time. So my hope is that as each one of them fails, he'll continue on, and that's the way his agreement is structured, and that's the way he requested it to be structured. So that's good news too. Also, we were wanting, and we took developers to Saltville, trying to do something there, and met with them, and we were struggling with that a little. So I talked with the town, and they own several properties. So I put together an application and got a grant. We've hired the engineering firm to develop a site plan to pick their best site, develop a site plan, get the stormwater plan in place so that we can go in, put houses on that property, or have that property ready for a developer if they come in. Either way, we'll get to put housing through this program on their properties. And that's been a hurdle, but I didn't want to go in and spend a lot of gross Smyth money on housing in an area where the developers or the builders didn't want to do it themselves. So this way, you've got the locality tied to it. You know, we found funding to tie with yours, and that'll stretch those out. So, and we got $40,000 to do those site planning and stormwater plans for that property. And the way it looks with the properties it has, it could probably be a staged program, so it could be multiple projects one after the other if it needs there. Another thing is I've been talking to your local subdivision owners, and as most of you know, most of those subdivisions have a lot of restrictions. You know, they want larger homes, a lot of things. So, you know, and we hadn't really had the developers or those owners. The owners, of course, not really developers. They develop the subdivision, most of them, and they'd like for someone to buy their properties. So we've been working with them, so maybe we can partner in a way to put housing on their properties and then settle with them at the end, or bring a developer in. And just to see what it would look like building one of those larger homes, we did a second agreement with Chad Totten, and they've already got the footers in. May have the foundation now, but when I was by the other day, they had the footers in on what they call that White Top Road. It goes back through there in Chilhowie on that property. It's not far before you cross into the Washington County line there. So I think there was like 2 other parcels before you hit the line. But that house will be a much larger house than the others that were being built. So we'll see how that goes. But if it goes well, and my discussion with him is, you know, he's already talking with one of the subdivision owners about maybe doing something on their lots with them. So that's something I've been trying to accomplish, and maybe we found a way to get there. And I'll give you a pretty extensive report. You guys read as well as I do, so I'm not going to read back over it. But if you have questions, I'll do my best to answer them for you. Or if you have desires or direction I've not taken that you'd like me to look into, I'm happy to do that as well.
I've just got a couple of questions.
Sure.
The townhomes that's being built,
Yes.
do you know approximately what the square footage of them will be?
I do have a plan. I do have a floor plan, but I don't remember right offhand.
Okay. And do you have any idea what they'll cost?
They're supposed to be in the mid-200s, is my understanding.
Mid-200s? Okay. And you said the development off of White Top Road, is that at St. John's Crossing?
I couldn't tell you, sir. I don't know that.
Not if it's close to the county line.
Yeah, it's not.
Well,
I think it may be just an open property. I don't know that it's actually
Well,
in
the county
there.
line's not till you get on White Top Road till you get to Conroe Rock. And I-
Yeah, if you go that way, it's at Connor Rock. If you go down the river, it's right there at the convenience station at the old Wilkerson, at the old golf
That
course.
wouldn't be on White Top
No,
Road?
that would not be on.
Okay,
Yeah, so,
okay. Thank you.
and then, oh, I didn't tell you Mr. Huber's duplexes, those 6 units, they're up out of the ground. So, they're moving along too.
Are those down on the river?
But,
Okay.
yeah. Mhm.
I noticed in your information you gave us that the town of Marion was a PDC grant of 800,000, and they spent 827. Is that because of some?
Well,
other
actually,
money?
I actually put one house in there that we ended up building ourselves through the PDC, and I put it with it. So there's 200 and about $14,000 there that's not really the town of Marion's. It's on a town of Marion parcel. So it is over, and I was waiting for that question today, but that's fine. I should have separated it out, but with the parcel owned by the town, and I assumed that was the best place for it, but you know, and it's not really that much money spent out either. We only, the house itself, time it's completed, will be about 170,000 total complete.
And one final question in, and I was concerned as I read through this because I wasn't clear in my mind. Talks about developing of the modular housing units. I'm hoping and assuming that these housing units are going to be the type that will appreciate in value and not depreciate.
That's correct, sir. They're under the same building code as any stick frame home. They're not manufactured housing at all. We did do single level housing on those first houses because, first of all, they were in the town. It was a much larger commitment to the town than I ever intended to make, but with them being in the town and a town project, and in the areas they were in, we were already overbuilding the neighborhoods. And we have agreements and with all the major modular home providers to be able to buy and put up their homes wholesale, and we can put them up any size house they want, multiple stories. It's just for that particular project, they're at a level that's already outpricing that neighborhood. And if they didn't have the supplemental money, it wouldn't have made sense.
Can I ask a question?
Let me ask one more.
You go right ahead, sir.
You get any interest, any participating from the other two towns in our county?
Like I said, I've been working with Saltville some. Chilhowie, I've talked to their at their council meetings, and we've talked to a couple of folks that's come about because of that, but really and truly they've not got as vigorous about promoting it as hoped. We've had to run down your developers. I actually sent, if they had an email address I could find anywhere on the web, I sent one to every contractor, developer that works anywhere around this area. So, you know, I've tried to reach everyone. I've took everyone's calls, but I can say now that they're seeing houses going up, we're having more serious conversations than we have. But we are on track because, like I said, you guys gave a large amount of money, but we've committed the most of that money. If they were being built at one time, you know, it'll roll. So we have latitude in how it's spent out still. But we need to be about just over 30 homes committed at one time continually, and that's exactly where we are.
I just think, and being new to the board this year, this money though that's lent out comes back, right?
Yes, sir.
So
All of them
it's
belong.
something that it'll be a continuing project as opposed to just an initial investment.
Yeah, my hope is if we meet the demand of the housing market here in Smyth County, which hopefully that won't be for a while, because the dream is for it to bring in folks to live in Smyth County, work in Smyth County, but also bring in people to live in Smyth County and work outside of Smyth County. Take advantage of everyone's market, because right now everyone's got a very low unemployment rate, and they've all got the same problem. They've got a shortage of housing. And I've got a regional program, but that regional program, you can throw as many houses as I want to scattered over an area that runs from from Bristol to the other side of Hillsville in Carroll County, and you still are not going to make a huge difference in any one area. So the idea is that if the housing is here, we'll be able to draw those folks to live in those housings, especially if we can make them affordable. And that's another reason we went after that Spark loan set aside from Virginia Housing. See, I told in your report that we got $2.5 million for MRPDC projects. We managed $205 million of those set asides. We also have another $2.5 million that they manage themselves just for our programs. And we were asked to fill that out because of this project here. The one they manage, you know, covers a certain area in my demographic, but this was asked to be filled out for this particular project.
And is there a certain price point we're looking to hit? Is there a certain price per square foot?
No, not really. What I wanted the developers, if we were working with developers, what I didn't want to do is for the PDC to put in housing and it be overly competitive for the developers that we were partnering with, right? We don't want to be a competitor, we just want to be a partner. So with Grow Smyth money, what we were looking to do was help those developers build the housing that they saw the market. You know, we did a housing study that lets them know where the market is. And we did that early on. So if we do this right and we help them and we provide them this revolving loan, right? And they build this housing, and we do it as a reimbursement. So we don't give them money up front. So you're providing them an avenue to gain those funds. They spend their money, they send us where they spend it, proof of payment. We reimburse them up to their agreement amount.
Okay.
And then they sell the home. If they overprice the market, which is possible because we've got some right here that I think probably will. Okay. You know, and I had one of your partners ask, what if they don't sell? I said, we'll have to have a different discussion. I said, our agreement is home sale, the funds come back, and you're selling a new home. So you can't rent it, you know,
Okay.
You can't do anything else. Your agreement is to provide a new house.
Thank you for that information.
You're very welcome.
I just wanted to clarify, the Royal Oak Townhome, is that for you?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually a new LLC that he just put together for the homes on the other side of the road.
Right. Yeah, they're moving forward.
Yeah, those are they're going to move right along. And he had I was trying to think on the date, but it had a pretty progressive timeline for construction too. So he wasn't planning on being with that project a long time. And that's 6 separate units. And I'll send Kendra, if I hadn't already, I'll send Kendra a photo because I've got the conceptual renderings of what that development's going to look like. It's going to be pretty impressive.
Across the road looks impressive. It's already there.
It is. So, and they're meant to complement each other.
Any more questions? Roscoe, you got any questions?
No, sir. I believe y'all about wore it out.
Well, thank you.
Everybody but you had spoke, so I want to give you a chance.
I appreciate it.
Well, thank you again for allowing me to speak to you.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Moss.
Thank you, sir.
Now we got Mount Rogers Community Service Performance Agreement. Ms. Bryant.
Hello. I'm KJ Holbrook. I am a Smyth County resident, and I am also the Chief Clinical Officer for Mount Rogers Community Services. We have the honor of serving 6 localities, Smyth County being one of those. Every 2 years we get a performance contract with the state, where the state tells us what we have to do and they tell themselves what they have to do in return. And so usually we're reviewing that at that time. However, whenever the state makes an amendment to our performance contract, we are required to provide that information to our localities. The localities can decide not to take any action whatsoever, and if no action is taken by September 30th, then the state considers those amendments adopted. However, we didn't want to just send you information like like we did when we asked for me to go on the agenda. We wanted to be present today to answer any questions or concerns that you may have. I know this very large packet of information was shared with you all, and if you read it and fell asleep, I understand. It primarily goes over a lot of language changes where the state is putting different responsibilities on themselves versus the CSB's data collection efforts on their end that are kind of bypassing some of what we were previously reporting. There was some language changes to procurement department responsibilities, continuous quality improvement, as well as some information regarding their efforts for us to increase our crisis services and utilization of crisis services. These went out to all the boards in the state, so it wasn't just us, but we tend to perform well on the majority of these measures. And again, I'm just here to see if anybody has any questions about any of that we could allay any concerns. So hopefully you all would feel comfortable moving forward with approving.
I'd just like to say, Ms. Holbrook does a great job with us in the school system of working with us. Anytime we have an issue, calling and working out with whatever it may be. So I want to just tell you thank you
Oh,
for
thank
all your
you.
hard work and for the job that you do and helping manage that program. So you've been a great help to the students and staff of Smyth County Schools.
Appreciate that very much.
Any other comments, questions? Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
All righty, time for a public hearing. How We Chill Music Festival. We got such a large, rowdy crowd. I would entertain that we waive. Yeah, I would entertain we waive the reading of the rules.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The rules, we waive the reading, but not the rules in case we have to enforce them. So,
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would you like me to read the advertisement for this public hearing?
I think we can all read. Anybody want to hear it?
Not necessary.
Perfect. All right, well, then if you don't mind, I'll give you a quick synopsis of the application. Mr. Corey Rose, who is with us tonight, has filed an application for music festival permit. He plans to hold his event on August 16th through 17th, and he will be holding it at 1291 Arden Lane in Chilhowie. With his application, he submitted the required site plan, the letter addressing the sound requirements, his required certificate of insurance. He also has been working with the Sheriff's Department, and there's a letter from the Sheriff in the file. Also with the Health Department, for which they have approved his plan. He paid his required fee. And the last requirement is some sort of notification from the Department of Forestry, to which Mr. Rose has been working, I think, very hard for the last couple of weeks to get in contact with the Department of Forestry and has not been successful. So in lieu of that, we suggested that maybe he reach out to Mr. David Haynes, who is the fire chief for Chilhowie, and who would ultimately respond to any event at this property. And he was able to get a letter from Mr. Haynes today, and I'll hand you a copy of that. And effectively, it acknowledges that Mr. Rose has notified him of the event, and he is aware of it. And in compliance with the ordinance, we advertised notice of this public hearing in the Smyth County News on July 13th and 20th, and we have not received any comments or anyone asking to relay anything at tonight's hearing.
Nothing from the neighbors at all.
No, sir.
And we have a huge crowd here to talk about it.
The neighbors are very supportive.
We're very lucky.
Yeah.
This is not the first one, right?
No.
Yeah.
No. And so I would like to apologize. I was unaware of the ordinance until I want to say mid-June. So in future years, I'll deal with it through Anna, and we probably won't have to waste your time with this.
Yeah, so if you recall, we changed the ordinance a few years ago, and like the Rich Valley Fair typically come in months ahead because they're aware of the ordinance, and we handle it administratively. And so we've had that conversation with Mr. Rose, and next year we hope to do that.
Okay.
So that's all I have. He's
Never had-
obviously
yeah,
here
Never
tonight.
had any issues before, have you?
No,
I didn't think so.
no.
Any,
No, I
any other
come-
questions?
A long line of, my uncle built Happy Valley Stage and, Ralph Stanley's Fairgrounds, this festival grounds. So, it's been generations of doing stuff like this.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Go right ahead.
I was just curious, what is your normal turnout?
Typically 75 to 100. I think the max we had was 175.
Are you looking for this to possibly grow each year?
I put our capacity at 350. I lose money on it every year. It's a labor of love. But, I would like to at least get to where I'm breaking even, which would be about 200 people.
And so you got sufficient parking and everything like that?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
good with all that? Okay.
Any other questions?
That's the last one. What time does the festival start?
It'll start, music will start 5 p.m. Friday, end at midnight.
Okay.
Start again, noon to midnight the next day.
I was happy to hear school's out, but.
Where's that location at?
Behind Chilhowie Fence Company off 107, Arden Lane. It's the first gravel lane off of Lions Gap.
Any more questions? Did Clay explain, do we need to waive the rules and approve this tonight or
So
just?
we had a conversation about that. No, you'll have another meeting between now and his event. So you don't have to feel, there's no urgency to
Would it
waive
make
the
him
rules.
feel better if he knew tonight he's gonna?
He-
I mean, that would be nice.
I think he would appreciate it, yeah.
I don't wanna rush you, but.
I think if one more thing we don't have to worry about next time.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I don't consider this gonna be a controversial issue, so I just,
You sure can't turn something down with nobody here to talk.
so I'll entertain a motion to waive the rules and vote on it tonight.
I'll make a motion.
Got the motion? Got 2 seconds? All those in favor of waiving the rules signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise. Passes unanimous. Now I entertain a motion to approve or disapprove.
Move to approve.
We can do it in public hearing. Yeah, doesn't matter.
I'll second Roscoe's.
Okay, have a second? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise. Sounds like that was unanimous. And having done that, I will close public hearing.
Serve good hot dogs at that time?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Penny's Kitchen will be there.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. All good, thank you.
I like the handle symbols.
I really do.
All righty, we're moving on now to our minutes from the previous meeting. Everyone had a chance to read through those?
Getting ready to die, they leave life.
I move to approve.
Have a motion to approve, any second?
Second.
Have a motion to second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed likewise.
I was saying, Mr. Chairman, as I was not present.
Okay. Motion passes 1, 2, 3, 4 to 1 and 2. Citizen time. Bob Williams.
Me, yeah. With such a large crowd, I wasn't sure, so. Thank you all for letting me come in. My name is Bob Williams. I'm here with Smyth Animal Rescue and the Smyth County Humane Society. Basically, want to just give you all some information about who we are, what all we do. I want to thank you for your time this evening. Smyth Animal Rescue and Smyth County Humane Society are sister organizations, same mission, and that's just to help the animals and look out for their welfare. The Smyth County Humane Society has been operational for the past 40 years. SARS, the Smyth Animal Rescue, we've been rescuing homeless animals for the past five years. Smyth County, the Commonwealth, the nation has the same problem, too many animals and not enough homes. So basically, in the past, we've transferred about 85% of the animals in our care to the partners in Northern Virginia and the surrounding states. All shelters and the rescues are full at this time, so we're not able to transfer and transport as much as we did. And that's not just here, that's in the entire southwestern Virginia area. Locally, we encourage and we provide the resources to help families and others with their pets at home. We want them to stay home. We don't want them to come to the shelters. Really don't. We want to be out of business. So we try to help folks keep their pets where they are. Y'all have seen the impacts whenever you have to surrender an animal. But we supply food, the behavioral improvements, food for the pets. We even actually help them get spayed and neutered to help with the program there. And actually, that's about the best way to stop the spread. And we also have a TNR programs, trap, neuter, and release. We passed all the we call it VDACs, but we passed all their state inspections. We've since opened the 5,000 square foot SAR building. That's the big red one that everybody sees down when you're going to the Walmart. It's up on the hill. It's actually 10,000 square feet. We use 5,000 at this time. There's 12 runs. We're getting ready to install four more for the dogs. I believe there's 8 dogs in there now and around 45 cats, and there may be more than that. Last year we rescued 1,071 animals from homelessness and euthanasia. That's 150% more than 2020. So far we've had 1,346 pets from Smyth County with the assistance that we provided with spay and neuter. We worked with Smyth County Public and Animal Shelter to achieve the highest release rate in history of 85.6%. Last year we gave out 32,000 pounds of food for the families that needed assistance. Those that remember the old Tennessee Ernie Ford song, that's 16 tons. So really we've helped to prevent thousands of homeless pets hitting our streets. So really we need the help and the support of state, local, county, all the corporate sponsorships that we can get to grow it and to serve. And we just thank y'all for your continued support and appreciation. And if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
I'd just like to ask one. What's the exact location of your big red building?
The exact location would be 182 Rifton Road, off exit 47, right behind, yes.
Okay. So it's up on
It's a great building up on top of the hill there, below the crosses.
And if anybody would like to come out for a tour, we'd be glad to show you. We're proud of the work that we do. It's all a volunteer-driven process. So if anybody wants to volunteer, we'll be glad to take volunteers as well. But it's a great organization that does a lot of really good work.
How many regular volunteers do you have?
I'm going to say on the roster is about 40 to 45. So we have different shifts, of course. Like right now, I'm going to leave here and go walk the dogs. We have about, I think there's 10 dogs now that we have. Everything from, we have some hound dogs, we have some lab mixes, we have some pitties, and there's probably, so it takes about 2 to 3. 3 is better on a shift to go and walk and clean and feed and give medicines and that kind of stuff too. Cats are probably, if we're at the 45 range again, a good number is 2 to 3 per shift. So we do have the partners all across the community. We have folks that foster, so that doesn't include that number. We do training on a quarterly basis and try to give folks skills to help with dogs and cats and animals that are working with them. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks for all you all do.
All right, thanks for your time.
Unless our newspaper wants to make a comment, I guess I'll close citizens' time. Moving on now into old business, the Public Safety Committee. Morning, you.
I think I got the long one too. The Smith County Public Safety Committee had met on July the 18th with myself, Mr. Parrish, and Mr. Sturgill in attendance. First item we had discussed was a request from A&B Billing for 3 accounts due to a patient's financial constraints, as well as 2 accounts with patients' deaths. After discussion, the following motions were made. The first being Rye Valley District Supervisor Mr. Jason Parrish made a recommendation to authorize forgiveness of debt for A&B account number 144197754 in the amount of $148.96. Chilhowie District Supervisor Mr. Mike Sturgill would second the motion. That was unanimously approved. Do you want to do each of these?
Do them one at a time, yeah. So that's a committee recommendation that we, for lack of a better way, we grant relief for these 2 accounts with the death. We have any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? All righty.
Also, Chilhowie District Supervisor Mr. Mike Sturgill had made a recommendation to authorize forgiveness of debt for A&B account number 144157226 in the amount of $300 and 143966545 in the amount of $1,307.70. Rye Valley District Supervisor Mr. Jason Parrish seconded the motion and was unanimously approved as well.
All right. Committee recommendation. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Motion carries.
The next item the committee discussed was Southwest Virginia Paramedic Program. The clinical affiliation agreement with the Southwest Virginia Community College's paramedic program will allow students to ride along in our county medic trucks. Mr. Crawford noted this would be also helpful as a recruitment tool, and after further discussion, the following recommendation was made. Mr. Mike Sturgill, Chilhowie District Supervisor, made a recommendation to authorize the county administrator to execute a contract with Southwest Virginia Community College's paramedic program. Rye Valley District Supervisor Mr. Jason Parrish seconded the motion, and it was also unanimously approved, and that's a committee recommendation as well.
All righty. Committee recommendation, any further discussion?
Got a question, Mr.
Go right ahead, sir.
I assume that they are covered by our insurance, aren't
That was something that I think was also pending overview through Mr. Farthing.
Yeah, they just need to call VACO, whoever's covering that ambulance. So
Okay.
I'm sure Lisa's probably on top.
Right, as long as they're serving the needs of the county and that.
You've already did that?
Covered in our, yes, they
they?
are
Okay,
covered.
thank you.
And I have a question, not necessarily dealing with this particular one, but why is this from Southwest Virginia Community College, and we haven't had anything like this from the 3 local colleges, Emory and Henry, or?
I do know, my son is actually in a paramedic program right now, and he does it through them, I think through the community college also. So I think they're,
The local community colleges
They're all
work
tied
together,
together.
so they host different
So
classes.
Southwest is the lead agency?
No, parent agency.
Oh, okay, it's sort of, had me wondering there.
I was confused about it originally too, because he told me it was through Southwest and he was going to Whitfield. So.
Okay. So you helped clarify something to me. It just, I'm thinking, they're across the mountain and you can't get there from here hardly.
Yeah.
Why okay, that makes sense.
But it's
It's like a
it's
regional
like a
partnership.
regional partnership.
Okay. Committee recommendation. Any other questions? You satisfied me? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise? Hopefully that'll help with our people on these ambulances. All righty.
The committee also then had discussed the mutual aid agreement for law enforcement services between Russell and Smith County. Ms. Rudd advised this is just an update as the last one had recently expired. After further discussion, following recommendation was made. Chilhowie District Supervisor Mr. Mike Sturgill made a recommendation, authorize the chairman to execute the mutual aid and cooperation agreement for law enforcement services between Russell County and Smyth County, and it was seconded by Rye Valley District Supervisor Jason Paris and unanimously approved. And that's also committee recommendation.
Any discussion on this? I would like to say, and I think Roscoe agreed with me, several years ago when we originally did this mutual aid agreement, it was not this easy. It was pulling teeth to get it pulled together. So I'm so thankful we have a group that can work together from there and here to get this done as free as it seems to be. Hearing no other questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise? Sounds like it was unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Widener. Moving on to buildings and grounds. Mr. Sturgill.
District Supervisor Michael Sturgill called the meeting to order at 10 a.m. and turned the conversation over to Mr. Rutt and Dr. Carter. Mr. Rutt reviewed the Board of Supervisors' recently adopted strategic plan, which included a building needs assessment in partnership with the county school board. Dr. Carter shared copies of the school board's 2022 through 2026 CIP document, highlighted the school board's successes in utilizing ESSER funds to construct and enhance facilities over the past few years. He also shared an updated 2024 through 2027 CIP that goes into documenting future needs. Mr. Rudd and Dr. Carter both agree that now is a good time to open the line of communication between the two elected bodies to discuss school needs. Dr. Carter also discussed a recently approved construction grant for upgrades to Chai High School, which will help fund 30% or more of any renovations additions. Recognizing the lack of understanding of the actual construction costs associated with the proposed project, both committees concurred that the need to procure architectural services would be a good next step following some questions Dr. Carter had regarding grant fund uses. The committee discussed the potential capital improvement projects for the county schools as well as administrative offices for all departments and agencies. As a result of that discussion, the following motion was made. Roanoke District Supervisor Courtney Wider made a motion to recommend creating a task force for all county building needs and invite the appointment of 2 members of each entity or associated staff to include the County Board of Supervisors, County School Board, Department of Social Services, and any other agency that may need to be added later. Chai District Supervisor Mike Sturgill seconded the motion and it was approved by the committee.
Okay, we are right now the committee saying we need to form a task force. So all those, any discussion? I hope you saw in the packet we had a list, pretty significant list of school board and county building projects that need to be done, sort of a time schedule when it needs to be done and when they hope to. I found that very interesting to go with our CIP we've had in the past. So, any further discussion on this task force though?
If you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to add that I just think it's very important that we have members of all agencies involved in this, and also people who do the day-to-day operations in this, as far as to help understand the needs moving forward and any further decisions being made. That's all I have.
Okay. It may indicate, having listened to what you said there, if we just have two persons from each entity, we may want to have 2 from entity plus 1 lay person from each entity. We may have to come back and amend this later.
I think that was mentioned, that it was associated, yeah, it'd be associated staff.
Okay.
I think, may I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
One thing we need to be careful of and attentive to is the grant. Did you see the grant we got for Chai High School?
Yeah.
That has a timeline on it that we have to get back to the state, so we just need to make sure what we do is within that timeline. If that makes sense. And which would pay for 30% of the project that was intended for. So
Well, I sort of made the assumption any project in process would just keep moving forward, and we would try to incorporate any future needs into what funds and project needs we had. So.
I think part of the intent is it's a pretty extensive list.
Yeah.
And so I think part of the need for this task force is to sort of prioritize that and decide, which projects need to be prioritized.
But if they're already going, I mean, I don't
Well,
like.
no, several of those are proposed.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily approved, but like Mr. Sturgill said, there have been grants applied for some and approved, and so we don't wanna debate this too long, but it is something that needs to be resolved. So if you're inclined to support the committee's recommendation, I would recommend you go ahead and appoint 2 members of the board to that committee, and we can work with DSS and the school board to get their members appointed and schedule a meeting as soon as possible.
Y'all heard the man. It's, I think it's committee recommendation to form the committee. We need to do that first, so. Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise? That was unanimous. Now we want to appoint 2 members. We can do it now, or I can do it, sit down with Sean and do it later. What's the pleasure of the board? Anybody really have a hankering other than Courtney to be on this board?
Volunteer.
ain't here, John.
I would, being we don't have some people here, I do think it would be good if you guys could just sit down
Okay.
and discuss that.
We'll try to get that done.
If nobody has any opposition to that.
We'll try to get that done as soon as Sean quits playing with these kidney stones. And y'all pray for him, because it's not, if you've had kidney stones, you know it's not fun. Alrighty, so, is that then, that's it, you, Courtney, right?
Yes, well, that was mine.
Oh, okay.
I made the recommendation. He trying to put everything on me.
That's all for you then, right?
Yeah, that's all for me.
Okay. Your utility rate increase, I believe we'll let Lisa talk now.
Yes, sir, thank you, Charlie. On page 140, there is a draft resolution that follows our public hearing on July 11th, 2024 for a rate increase on water and sewer utility rates and fees. If you'd like, I can read that resolution.
What's the pleasure of the board?
We're gonna approve it anyway.
If it's just a resolution, I don't already read it.
I think we've done our homework, we've all read it and looked at it there.
And that 5% is already in the adopted budget.
Yeah.
This does call for a roll call vote.
Alrighty, any other questions for Lisa on this? I'd like to note, as she said, we've already had the public hearing, it's a 5% increase, which we've already put in the budget. We're just doing the legal part to make everything copacetic, as he used to say. Hearing no questions, no comments, I'll call the votes. You wanna call the names, you want me to?
I can.
Okay.
We'll start with you, Mr. Atkins.
Yes.
Mr. Call.
Yes.
Mr. Paris.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
And Mr. White.
Yes.
Alrighty,
Big room.
moving on now.
You wanna make, was that in form of a motion to make that vote?
Yeah.
To accept it?
Resolution on workman's comp under new business.
And I can handle that as well. We have recently, this fiscal year, have included workers' comp insurance for our volunteer fire EMS members. About 90 of those, and it was budgeted just a little over 18,000, and it requires a resolution for the VACORP for us to adopt that for their approval. Again, I can read that if you'd like. It says that we've just given authorization to Shauna to execute the member agreement to VACORP and act on behalf of Smyth County Volunteer Fire and EMS and any relative to this group.
I don't need, I mean, I read it already, so unless someone here speaks up and says they need to hear it read to them, I'm listening for a motion to approve.
I do have a question.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
On that, I would ask, so if the county assumes, the workers' comp for those departments,
Mm-hmm.
do those department members for volunteers have to be employed by Smyth County? Or
No,
are they,
They're volunteers strictly.
okay, so
by
it
agency.
doesn't change their volunteer status?
That's right, does not change their volunteer status, we're just gonna cover the cost, and they do have to be on the roster.
Okay, and with that being said, if they currently have workers' comp in place, will it be assuming that policy or rolling them into the new policy at an effective date?
I would assume they would not need a workers' comp on private policy, so we would need to reach out to each
'Cause I did-
volunteer group,
Okay.
and they would be able to.
Because I do know that certain
discontinue.
departments have a,
Yes.
you know,
Some-
have a workers' comp policy
Yeah.
themselves.
Because of this, that would no longer be necessary.
Perfect, just wanted
Yeah,
clarification. Thank you, Lisa.
absolutely. Once we get this signed and get it
Mhm.
back.
I just, if I can, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to state that this is something I think it's a given that we have to do for our.
We battled this 2 or 3 years ago, and for some reason, we ran into a roadblock. Do you remember what it was, Lisa?
I really don't. It may have been we didn't have rosters at that time.
For some reason, I know we talked about it there, and everybody thought it was a good idea, and Vaco or somebody wouldn't allow us, it might have been the lack of a roster.
Right.
But I know we wanted to do it, we tried to do it, but we didn't get it done.
Can I mean, so for the departments, is that information will be put out to them, that as far as the roster?
They're having a,
Do we have to maintain that roster as well, I guess?
I think we would through the EMS department, through Curtis's department.
So typically right now, as a member of a volunteer organization, we're required once a year to formally submit a roster to the clerk's office. And those are registered, and then if we have changes throughout the year, you're supposed to add and subtract based off of that.
Okay.
Yeah, the clerk's office was the key, I know that.
Yeah, it is, and then that roster also goes into the line of duty death. All of that is tied into that, and that's the reason we have it. But I would like to say, as somebody that works or that volunteers, you know, having the workers' comp, we've had to use that ourselves. We, you know, currently have it, but we've had to use it. And for those people that, you know, we've got people that are self-employed, having something like this when they are volunteering to help the community, if there's been something that happened, has been a lifesaver for some of those people that they've not lost, you know, equipment or got, like, you know, late on house payments and that kind of stuff. It's been something that's been there, that crutch. So it doesn't seem like much until you need it, and then it's huge. So it's a great commitment, because I know that there's departments in the county right now that are financially unable to do that, and to pick this up is a wonderful tool for the county to, you know, to elect to do.
And since this is adopted, Curtis is having a public safety advisory committee meeting on Monday at 6 o'clock, and he'll share that with the departments at that time, if not before. That's all I have.
All righty, we're back to where we are, and I'll entertain a motion to approve or decline.
Second.
No, I don't, because you're just one part of several.
I'm just asking.
Because your vote's not gonna matter anyway. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise? Sounds like it was unanimous. Yeah, we're up to the important part of the meeting. County Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple things to inform you about the job on Quail Run. There was a bunch of tires out there. The county has approved, I guess, cleanup and payment of cleaning up those tires and hauling them off. We were back in front of the judge on Tuesday and just asking for a judgment in the amount that it cost the county to clean up the property. So we did obtain a judgment in that amount. So when that property is sold, we will be able to recoup that money. And we think, at least I believe, it's on the list to be sold for real estate taxes. There are some other judgments there. It's a question of whether our judgment jumps in front of the others or not, which I put language in there that hopefully it will. So hopefully we'll recoup those costs at some point. Churchland Drive, the amended complaint has been attempted to have been served. I have not checked to see if it's been successful. The two owners, one lives there and the other one lives locally part-time and in Georgia. So we tried to serve him locally first before we tried to serve him in Georgia to see if we could catch him there. Because Miss Farmer said he was in town, so I'm not sure if that happened or not. But I did have the right address. You gotta check the court file to see if he got served. But those are the two latest updates for you.
Good, thank you. What's that? Yeah, well, they did. Well, law enforcement moved on.
Somebody moved them. Maybe they.
They're no longer sitting in the road. Now, we had two that we just did last week. Was any movement on those because we were?
No, so now that you've declared those public nuisances, letters will go out to them, telling them that they've been declared a public nuisance. They'll have typically 30 days to respond with a plan of action, and then if they don't, we'll start the effort with Scott to get that in front of a judge.
Now, I hate to bring this up, but Perry Lane, you know, where we had a little misunderstanding with the change of ownership, and is that moving forward? Is he doing anything with that now?
He is not, and I continue to get calls about that. So I've tried to get word to him through the grapevine, but there has not been any more movement. So I'm gonna have to send him a letter and tell him it's time to do something, or I'll have to take it to the next level.
If I see him, I'll try to help you there.
Thank you.
Anybody else got any questions on any of these nuisances? You know, it really helps the county when we can clean up a few of these things. It helps our tax base because adjoining properties go up in value. And usually in that particular piece of property will go up in value, and it's a win-win because we got rid of the health issues that's associated with it, so. Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to the report from our county administration.
Okay, I have a couple of things here. From Sean, in your packet there, under the first red tab, there is a letter that was shared with the board from Gabe Dempsey, the IT director, concerning the IT outage that we had here last Friday on the 19th from, it's a CrowdStrike update. I'll just read it really quickly. Gabe says, this is to inform you about the recent CrowdStrike content update that impacted Smyth County on Friday, July 19, 2024. We were initially made aware of this incident by our dispatch center around 1:30 a.m. A few hours later, all team members were sent a fix for this issue so that it could be deployed to the machines that were impacted. We were fortunate to allocate our resources and divide and conquer to complete the task at hand. In doing so, all critical systems were in normal operation by 10 a.m. and all other systems were in operation by noon. Thanks to our cohesive teamwork, we promptly addressed the issue, therefore providing minimal downtime for our users. And it says below is the email that included the link to fix it from our provider. In reference to the timeline of the above email, Smyth County was in normal operations for 8 to 10 hours prior to the receipt. We are proud of our department and their responses to one of the biggest global IT outages in history. So it was really, they really moved fast. It was shocking. I came in at 8 o'clock and expected to be completely down, and I went and rebooted my computer and it come back up, which is not as important as what Gabe come in at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. He was up there at IT with his staff, and Curtis and the dispatchers and everybody was working to get a resolution, and they had it up really quickly, so.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is that a ransomware attack?
It was not. It was not a ransomware attack or a security threat. It was just a glitch. And I think,
program.
yeah, I think it actually says that here in this email.
I think it was a failed update.
But IT, I think they did a great job. They came in the middle of the night and fixed it, and, you know, had everybody up and running by noon, so.
Delta's still working on theirs.
Yeah, that's what I heard this morning. There was still a lot of backlog at the airport.
I've seen that on the news.
Well, thank you on that, Lisa. I'm gonna speak for the group, thank Gabe and his office for the work they did.
The other thing I have is, on the back of that red tab, it's time again for school to start, and we're back to the Explorers After School program. Paige Wright, who did a great job running the program up tonight, had resigned that position at the end of the school year, and We have now hired Julie Looney. She's a counselor at, I believe, Marion Senior High School.
That's correct.
Julie Looney. And so her flyer here, she started today, I think was her first day, so she'd already got a flyer out here. Was it today or yesterday? Yesterday. So she's already got a flyer here, and she shared it on Facebook and on websites, and has a really good attitude. I think she'll make a great leader, a good coordinator, and get this program running and improve on it. And I'd like to ask her to come maybe to the next board meeting. We can introduce her.
I believe
at that
she's
time.
worked in that program since the start, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
I think she is.
Right,
Yes, you have appointed since the start. Do we have a date, the dates on that? Is it in effect when school starts doing that?
It has been in the past.
I think, yes, and they have it on the back to school night. Is that August 6th? They're gonna have
It is.
tables at each
That's,
school
The,
to,
what's
it called? Orientation?
Something night out, what is it?
Nights out, night out.
National
National Night Out.
for law enforcement, right? I think it's at night. So it's that's the same night as those. Right? So,
It's really been a good benefit. We have it at 5 elementary schools from what I understand, and it's a great resource for working parents.
Absolutely.
That is all I have.
And I'd like to make a public service announcement more or less, and of all the, we do a lot of programs, but this is a program we initiated, 2 years ago, that really the county has no cost into it because the $30 fee covers the cost of it, and the parents that participate and the schools that participate are tickled to death with it, because the students they're getting help with their homework. Parents don't have to be there at 3:15, 3:30 to pick their kids up. They don't have to leave work early. It's sort of a win-win and a lot of approval throughout the community. And I just want to thank this board for continuing it and for the prior boards that put it in effect. It's one of those programs where it really didn't have a downside, but it's all up. Thank you again. Having said that, we'll go to supervisor comment time. And first up is not here. Second up, Mr. Sturgeon.
well, I just want to say thanks to everyone for being out tonight. I appreciate the board working together. I hope everybody's enjoying their downtime a little bit in the summertime, because here in about 2 weeks, everything will change again. So we got school starting back on August the 8th, so please watch out for the little kiddos on the road when the buses go by to pick them up.
It's gonna be hot.
And it's gonna be warm, that's right. Unfortunately, we pretty much have air conditioning in all schools now, so we don't have to dismiss for heat. So, yeah, thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Parrish?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Really like to just say thank everybody for coming out. Thank all the work that the staff does to make it look so seamless and easy for us. And I'll just echo what Mr. Sturgill said there. Busy time of the year once we get in their school systems, plus with high school activities, football stuff coming up. So it's a big time of year. Get out and support the kids. Remember, support kids. It's not a time to beat them down. It's a time to build them up. So support them, support the schools, and it does. It makes the communities better. Thank you.
Mr. Widener?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to, again, thank the staff for everything you guys do. And also on this after-school program, I've seen it in place with my appointment, and the benefits to the children and the parents overall is just amazing. I think it just goes in line with our overall goals with a lot of the daycare issues that we run into in Southwest Virginia, and especially in Smyth County. I want to bring up something that's going on this week. The Rich Valley Fair is going on, and on Thursday, August the 1st at 7 p.m. they're having the donkey baseball. This is a very involved sport. They would probably compare it to the Olympics. So we've got some VIPs who are going to be in attendance of that and actually participating in it. And I would like to recognize them. Mr. Sean Hutt will be there, Mr. Clay Williams.
Is there a donkey talk?
Well, the problem is, I think he walks the donkey, so, because he's got long legs, and then, Mr. Dennis Carter, so I think that would be a good time to turn out over there, and, or Dennis Greer, I'm sorry. So, but we'll throw Dennis Carter in on that too. He should be there, right?
I think so.
So, but,
That's our first teacher work day.
yeah, it'd be a good day for him to be there, but I just wanted to.
They're done by 7 though, right? Oh.
So the fair is going on. I encourage everybody to try to get over there and enjoy some of the festivities and things going on, especially on Thursday, August 1st at 7 p.m. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Down to me and Roscoe now.
All right.
It's me, I guess. I want to thank everybody for all the work you did to put into this, and I want to ask that you pray for Sean and help him get past these kidney stones. And my only real comment is, earlier tonight, we had the presentation on how we used $3 million worth of that ARPA money. And I want to thank this board for thinking down the road and using that money like we did, because I look at other counties who spent the money on expenses in the normal budget, and it's gone. They have nothing to show for it. We're building homes with ours, and it's going to regenerate itself, so 10 years from now, we still will have that $10 million building homes here in Smyth County. I think that was a wise...
Plus revenue.
Yeah, plus revenue from that. I think that was a wise use of our money. And if we ever get to that day and time where there's not a need to build homes, we got $3 million plus for some other type of economic development. So we have made that $3 million work for us.
Hopefully bring quality citizens.
Yeah, I mean, it's right in so many ways, and I want to thank this board, which the majority of them were here. I want to thank this board for doing that. Really appreciate it. And having said that, I'll leave the final comment, everybody be safe, and I'll leave the final comment to Mr. Roscoe.
Well, I'll just go along with what everybody said. You pretty much covered it. I think the staff for sure. Keeping this straight, that's one thing. That's hard to do. And go visit the fair, see Courtney. You gonna ride one of them?
I don't know.
Take a
Maybe
couple
I'll be
donkeys.
honest with you.
You'd
You
have
probably
to
have to
put
double
two
it
of
up.
them together. They're blueberry animals. God bless everybody. Have a good trip home.
All right, thank you. Now, we have a meeting at 7, a joint public hearing with the Smyth County Planning Commission. However, before we get to that, we do have a short closed session of the Board of Supervisors. So we're gonna kick you out of here for a few minutes. I apologize, I really do. But, I'll kick you out of here for a few minutes, and then we'll let you back in for the 7 o'clock meeting with, it shouldn't take us 15 minutes at the most. You see them take the signs off on the door, come back in and be with us. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion here in closed session under Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711 under A.3, discussion, consideration, acquisition of real property for public purposes or the disposition of publicly held real property regarding the McMullen Station.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a motion to second, basically go into closed session. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?